Kia ora koutou. Ko Angela Caves toka wingawa, no mai haere mai. Welcome to the Central North Island Business Growth and Support Virtual Conference. My name's Angela Caves and I'm the Partnership and Events Lead with Digital Boost. It's my pleasure to be hosting you this afternoon. Welcome to our audience who have joined us here in the webinar, and a warm welcome to anybody who is joining via our live stream on either Facebook, LinkedIn or YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to hear all about the breadth of support available to the business community of the Central North Island. On the webinar this afternoon with me is my co-host, Melissa Edmonds-Weil from Connected.govt.nz. I'm going to hand over to Melissa, who is an Employment Liaison Advisor with Connected. And Melissa is going to take us through some webinar housekeeping and then introduce our guest presenter this afternoon. Thanks, Melissa.
Kia ora, thanks, Ange. Kia ora, everybody. For those of you who are joining us on this webinar, you can see and hear us, but we can't see and hear you. So that's just an FYI. Please feel free to use the chat or the Q&A function, which is available. And that's just down the bottom of your screen. And we'll address any questions towards the end of this presentation. Our sessions have been recorded and will be uploaded to the YouTube playlist on the Digital Boost channel for a post-event viewing. So if you're keen to have another look, whip on in there. And all registered attendees will be provided a link via email. Now it is my very, very good pleasure to introduce you to Vinod from Employment New Zealand, and he's going to take you through his presentation. Kia ora, Vinod.
Kia ora. Kia ora, everybody. Thank you very much for attending. Let's try sharing the slides first. And can everyone see the slides and hear me okay?
Yes, we can. It's looking
Okay.
good. Thanks,
Cool.
Ange.
So kia ora koutou, and thank you, audience, for attending today's presentation from Employment New Zealand, and we're part of MB. We're here to teach you and upskill you about your employment rights and responsibilities and share with you some of the free tools and resources that we have. Thank you very much to Digital Boost and Connected for organising these series of events and actually inviting us, of course. So, like I said, when we're talking about giving you the information about employment rights and responsibility, yeah, it's about compliance, but you can also get more benefits for your business. It can make you more productive, make your staff feel like they're in a better workplace, and that can help your business in the short and long term. If you're seeing this presentation some time down the track, please visit the website for the latest information. Oops. Today is the little roadmap we're going to take you through. Going to tell you about Employment New Zealand, rights, responsibilities, tools, resources, information and support. Bit of housekeeping at the beginning. If you've got any queries, please add them to the chat, and we'll take discussions at the end, please. And just if you can note that we can only provide you with general information, not legal advice, but we'll give you as much information as we can. So, not sure if you've heard about Employment New Zealand. We're part of MB. We're the part that tries to work with the employment system, so everyone who's a participant, employee, employer, etc., knows their rights and responsibilities. Over here, you can see the Employment New Zealand website. It gets about 6 million visits a year, and we're very active on social media, over 200,000 followers on Facebook and LinkedIn. Employment mediation services, they're like our peacemakers. When there's an employment relations problem, they try and get the parties together and work out a voluntary resolution. And then there's Labour Inspectorate. They're more like our enforcement arm for those minimum employment standards. When things aren't working and penalties and sanctions have to be applied, they are involved. One of the tricky things about employment law is trying to work out who is an employee. So we'll take you through that, because when you get these foundational things right, then it saves you problems down the track. So think of it today, we're building that house, get those foundations right, and our house is going to last for a long time. So an employee is anyone who has agreed to be employed under a contract of service. For a contractor, it's for service. So here it is, of service, to work for some form of payment, including wages, salary, commission, or piece rates. So it includes the salespeople and the people fruit picking, etc. Employees include full-time, fixed-term, seasonal, casual, and part-time. All types of employees, ones on probationary or trial periods, home workers, and people who have been offered and accepted a job. It's not someone who's self-employed or an independent contractor or a volunteer, because a volunteer is someone who should not get who would not normally get a reward for working. Let's drill down a little bit into this employee versus contractor. So employee versus contractor, that is quite challenging. You've probably seen it in the media when in different countries they call Uber drivers an employee in one country, a contractor in another. In New Zealand, we focus on some tests, and you should run your situation through these tests and try and get a feeling if you think this worker should be an employee or a contractor. So let's just imagine we're going and we're imagining we have our business and we're about to hire a gardener. The intention test is the aim for the worker to be an employee or self-employed. Contract for services rather than employment agreement implies a contractor. Okay. Will they be supervised? So more control over their work hours and methods implies an employee. Will they be part and parcel of the organisation? No, then it implies a contractor. And then it's the fundamental economic test. What is the total situation if they work for many businesses for fees and implies a contractor? So if you're still not sure after those tests, contact MB and we can help point you towards some services that we have to try and get that right. But it's really important to get that right at the beginning. Next thing we turn to our employment agreements or contracts. That's another foundational piece of getting everything right for your being compliant and being a good employer. So all employees are entitled to an employment agreement. That means before they're offered the job, they get a intended employment agreement. One's negotiated, signed, kept up to date, and then the current one is kept on file so the employee can ask for it at any time. And that employment agreement must have some mandatory terms, names of the parties, the job description or the duties, what they're going to do, place of work, hours of work, wages and salary, time and a half, which is just explaining that if you work on a public holiday, you're always entitled to a rate of time and a half. Employee protection provisions, which is if you're in certain industries, you get extra protections and resolving employment problems, the process that you go through, and it talks about personal grievances in the time period. Even if some minimum rights aren't mentioned in the employment agreement, they apply. So these things are in the legislation being passed by Parliament, and they apply no matter what the two parties have been discussed. You can't contract out of these minimum employment rights. We call them minimum employment standards. If you're the employer, these will be employment obligations for you. Let's just run you through a few, just so you get a flavour of them. We have the minimum wage, which is currently $21.20 per hour gross for adults. Those are people aged 16 and over since the 1st of April 2022. There's also the minimum, there's the starting out rate and the training rate, which is 80% of that rate. And this rate is usually revised annually, and if it is going to change, it changes every year on the 1st of April. Our public holidays, we currently have 12 public holidays per year. We recently had the addition of the Matariki public holiday, annual holidays, 4 weeks paid annual holiday per year after 12 months. And sick leave doesn't just apply for you, but it applies for if someone look after someone dependent in your household, and you get 10 days per year after 6 months. Bereavement leave after 6 months, the employee gets 3 days if it's a bereavement that's really close to the person, child, parent, spouse, a brother, sister, 1 day if there's a special relationship. Domestic violence leave, if someone is a victim of domestic violence, up to 10 days per year after 6 months. Rest and meal breaks depend on the hours worked. So on a normal 8-hour shift, a reasonable morning break and an afternoon break would be like the 10-minute morning tea, and that would be paid time with a reasonable lunch break, so at least 30 minutes, which is unpaid. And that's so that people can do the things they need to do, to be happy and productive employees. Employees have the right to join a union and not to be unduly influenced. And if employment is terminated, like through dismissal or redundancy, a fair and proper process must be followed. General employer responsibilities are, we mentioned the employment agreement, but just wanting to give them another plug. Providing the safe workplace. So in the space of health and safety, the employer's obligation to make sure that the workplace is safe, the proper training, systems, the processes, and paying for and providing the PPE, and that it's a place that's free from discrimination, bullying, and harassment. So you've got a duty in that space, not just for the conduct of the managers, but also other employees, so that whole environment. And to follow a fair process of taking any disciplinary action. And finally, records. Maintain wage and time records and leave and holiday records. So if you go to the website, into the keyword record keeping, you'll see a whole lot of records that you have to keep. Make sure you've got good systems and processes so you can have that information there and current. Will save you lots of problems down the track, and also mean that you can properly pay your staff, meet your tax requirements, and meet your ACC requirements. If you haven't got the ability to do that yourself, then you may want to reach out for some extra professional services or some other organisation that can help you. Migrant exploitation, that's a significant area of work for the government at the moment. It has a multi-year program, temporary migrant worker exploitation program. Some of the things that have come here recently is there's a new visa to support migrants for up to 6 months called the Migrant Exploitation Protection Work Visa. And there's a whole lot of information so people know what migrant exploitation is and how they might get help. So this is something that you may want to check out, and also keep in mind it's a useful link for staff. The Fair Pay Agreement system, this has just recently been passed and commenced live from the 1st of December. So it means applications are being taken to initiate bargaining that can be made by eligible unions. We call it the FPA system. It brings together unions and employer associations within an industry occupation to bargain for minimum terms for all covered employees in the industry occupation. And there's more here. So as more people apply and more of those agreements are going to be in the system, we'll need to be aware of it to make sure that we know what those are. So when they apply to particular employees, that will form what their minimum entitlements are. Resolving employment problems. Under New Zealand employment law, you should try and work out with the employee what the problem is and try and resolve it. And here's a couple of links to web pages that has more information. If you're still not sure which pathway to follow, then contact Employment New Zealand, and I'll give you some contact details later, and they can discuss with you what your different options. Because there's several pathways, sometimes it can get a little complicated. So feel welcome to make contact with us if we can help. Early resolution. So This is a new service. It's a free phone-based service to resolve employment matters early, quickly, and informally. So the general situation is you feel an issue could be resolved promptly by you and your employee or employer with little help from an independent resolution facilitator. Contact the employment early resolution team, put early resolution into the website, and then they can contact the two parties and see if something can be resolved on a low-key, informal, voluntary process before that problem becomes a big problem. Employment mediation service is still a voluntary process, but mediation is the next level up, a bit more formal and structured, and it's when an independent mediator helps the parties to work through issues and develop solutions together. It's the low-key way to try to resolve any issues. Tends to be very effective, often very successful, and highly recommended. So good news is you have these things that you need to do to comply with the law, but Employment New Zealand has lots of tools and resources to help you, and they're all free as they're paid for and funded by the taxpayer. We have things here like news items on our website. We have the LinkedIn and Facebook, so you can follow us there. You can subscribe to our newsletter, and we encourage you to check out the Employment Agreement Builder. So if you type that into the website, you will be taken a link to the tool. You can use the tool. It will guide you through the mandatory clauses and the optional ones, and then you'll have a legally compliant template, and you can use that for your business and keep it updated as you need to. And then we also have a range of booklets and brochures on our website, which are online and in hard copy form. Here, this little booklet is more for suitable for small businesses. It's called the Minimum Employment Rights and Responsibilities booklet. And here's a little quick guide, which is ideal for employees, just telling them what their key minimum rights are. So here's the Employment Agreement Builder again. It creates tailored employment agreements for your staff, covers what you must do by law, common mistakes and how to avoid them in the link. We also think one of the things about employment law is you don't know what you don't know. So as long as you have a good sense of what you do know, and when you do need to get help, it should help you navigate any potential problems. So we've got a suite of 24/7 free online learning called our learning modules. And we have 2 entry-level modules, one for employers and employees. Each of these take about 15 minutes. And then we have advanced modules for an employer and employee versions, and they cover these topics below. Working arrangements, employment agreements, paying wages, hours of work, annual leave, other leave, and resolving problems. So we would encourage all owners, all managers, and all employees to do the modules. By knowing these things, it'll help you have a bit more productive and compliant business. If you need more information, encourage you to visit Employment.govt.nz, and here's a link, Minimum Rights of Employees, which has lots of that minimum rights information, the links to the module and the links to those booklets I talked about. Sometimes you need a bit more help than just visiting the website, so you can contact us. We've got a service centre to help with general inquiries. I've got a free interpreting service for over 180 languages, 0800 20 90 20 toll free during business hours. And we also encourage you to visit the website for the latest information. Soon I'll stop sharing and we will look to take any questions, please.
Awesome, thank you for that. So do we have any questions? I've got a couple here. One question that they've got here, Vinod, is why is it important or so important to have an employment agreement?
Well, basically, it's the foundational thing of a employment relationship, and you actually have to have one by law. And when labour inspectors come to visit, they'll ask to see all the employment agreements. But also, if you're wanting to develop a good working relationship with your staff, it's good to set up those expectations at the beginning and get them agreed and have them in there in writing, so everybody knows what's been agreed to, and making sure that it happens. And also, if people negotiate extra things above the minimums, that should be noted in the employment agreement too and kept up to date.
Awesome. Another question we have here is, where can I access the employment agreement builder?
That's actually, just go onto the Employment New Zealand website and pop in the words employment agreement builder. It will take you to a link to the Employment.govt.nz site where it's housed.
Yeah. Easy. That's too easy. And why is it important to keep all these records?
Well, the records are important because you have to keep these records by law, and there's consequences if you don't. It also helps you run your business more successfully, and there's a lot more records that you need to keep than you would think you would. So check it out. Make sure you cross it before you run into problems later.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another couple here. Where can I access information to educate myself on minimum employment rights and responsibilities?
That would be that minimum employment rights link that I shared before. And from that, you'll see the booklets, you'll see links to the employment modules as well. So you might want to check out that entry level one for employers as a starting point.
Is that the online training, just to clarify? Cool.
Yes.
And lucky last on this wee topic is there a newsletter that I can get?
Yeah, we've got a newsletter. We put it out probably once every 4 weeks, and it's got lots of tips in that to keep you updated. So it's actually got there's a link there, and you can see that link at the bottom of the homepage if you miss that.
Awesome.
But I hope you would have had an enjoyable session today and be highly motivated to sign up for that newsletter, because we would really love to share information with you.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll pass you back to Ange.
Okay.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks, Vinod. Yes, I have dropped in the links in relation to each of those questions in the chat, but a lot of them are also mentioned throughout Vinod's presentation. So if you want to refer back to any of that, please do have a look at the recorded version of this session, which we will provide you a link within the next 24 hours where you can jump onto YouTube and have a wee replay of certain sessions that you might want to get information from. On screen here, you will see the connected locations based in the Central North Island region. So if you are looking for further support and the ecosystem that is available for your business, please head over to Connected. They are the one-stop shop for being that conduit and pointing you in the right direction of whatever your query may be. Digital Boost is part of that ecosystem, so if you are doing digital well, please do let us know. We would love to showcase your business on our platform. It is no cost to you. Additionally, if you are on a digital transformation journey and you need some tools or resources to help with that, Digital Boost is your free digital skills training platform to every small business owner and their employees who want to boost or accelerate your digital transformation journey. Within there is our tool Checkable, which is a diagnostic tool. It will provide a digital assessment of how your small business is performing. So please, again, feel free to head over and use that. That does bring our session to a close. Once again, I'd just like to thank Vinod from Employment.govt.nz for joining us this afternoon. It's been a pleasure having you. Thanks, Vinod. Up at 1:45, we do have business.gov. joining us, so please come along if you'd like to hear about their platform as well. Later on this afternoon, we've got Te Puna Kōpere joining us, and then the New Zealand Trade and Enterprise to round off the day. So we would love to see you in those sessions. Other than that, lucky enough to give you 5 minutes back in your day, and we will get prepared for our next session, and I hope to see you all there. Thanks again. Thanks, everybody.